Not be a vote before the elections? Let's find out. He's one of the people who votes. New Jersey Congressman John Adler joining us now. Congressman Adler, welcome to the program. Why haven't we seen a vote, sir?
Well, I think we should. I think Dana was on something very solid just now. Businesses want predictability. They want to know what the ground rules are going to be. A lot of businesses are sitting on a lot of cash. They've downsized in ways that are tough for our employment sector, but they're ready to spend money if they know what the rules of the game are. I think critically we've got to keep our capital gains rates and our dividends rates as low as possible and keep them coupled so businesses can make smart business decisions. I think I've heard from many businesses, small, medium, and large publicly traded companies. They just want to know what the rules are going to be. They want those taxes as low as possible. They don't want to see capital flee our country and go elsewhere. Capital formation is key to private sector job creation. So let's take the vote right away. Keep the capital gains and dividends rates coupled and low at 15%.
Well, listen, you have been one of the leaders inside your own party rounding up Democrats to say we need to extend most or all of these tax cuts and, of course, obviously the dividend and the capital gains issues there. Would you support the extension of all the tax cuts, even for that top 3%?
I think we have to look at that in the context of deficits and job creation. I think doing that without also cutting spending would lead to the big deficits we've seen this entire decade that have gotten worse in the last couple of years. I would want to do that, but couple that with spending cuts that are real, that are long-term, that are meaningful, so that markets can respond comfortably, that we're not just growing our federal debts out of control. But we really have to focus in particular on those sort of tax cuts to create private sector jobs. And I think we sort of took our eye off the ball over the last year and a half dealing with the health care bill, which didn't reduce costs for businesses, instead added costs for many businesses as the premiums continue to rise. And I think we really have to focus once again on private sector job creation and deficit reduction as the two crises facing our great country.
Well, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is saying it's not, the delay in the vote is not about politics. Do you believe that?
Well, I haven't spoken to her directly on that. I have spoken to her directly recently on spending cuts, which I think are really critical for the psychology of families, small businesses, big companies. If we could just see the Congress cut back a little bit here and there, even the symbolism of that, I think, would free up the private sector to do what it does so well in our country's history, to start spending money again, hiring people back. They want to see Congress, as either Republicans or Democrats, really cutting spending, not talking about it as Republicans have done, as Democrats have done, but really starting to cut spending so the private sector can think, okay, these guys in Washington get it. Now we can feel comfortable going forward with the rules of the game.
I'm glad you said that, Congressman, because I do get confused. I mean, we hear from members of your own party that suddenly we need to raise taxes on the top 3% because of deficits, but we never heard anything about deficits, passing an $850 billion stimulus plan and more than $1 trillion in new spending over the years.
Well, in fairness, I think on the stimulus, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce thought that was the right thing to do to spark private sector job creation.
I'm not saying it's the wrong thing. I'm just saying all of a sudden the deficit seems to be out there when it hasn't.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Having done a recovery bill that was supposed to spark our economy, we should then have responded quickly to cut spending elsewhere in the federal budget. There are plenty of places you can cut. Anybody could see it. Any common sense person could look and say you can cut here and cut there and not weaken our national security, not hurt our most vulnerable citizens, but do things in a responsible way, the way families have done, the way small businesses have done all over our country. I think it was a missed opportunity over the last number of years to not cut when we should have been cutting.
Congressman John Adler for the great state of New Jersey. Only the strong survive.
It is great.
And I am a resident.
Thanks, Brian.
Congressman, thanks very much. All right, well, if it